Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so what can I say other than let the copium begin? It's actually crazy how wrong a group of people can be and how consistently wrong they could be. You know, the same people who are constantly lecturing us about good information, only trust us with the news, we're the only ones who can get the facts right. Well, those folks seem to always be living in an alternate reality. And of course, today's alternate reality, Tim Walz won the debate. I can't even say it without laughing because it's so incredibly stupid. But yep, that's exactly what we're getting. Tune in to MSNBC and this is what you're subjected to.
J.D. Vance was very polished and very slick, and Tim Walz beat him on all the substantive points. At least that was my take on it.
Ooh, J.D. Vance was good. I'll admit he was real good. Oh, he's real slick and good at this debate thing. But Tim Walz definitely won, right guys? Right guys? What was that? No, little Rachel Maddow. Tim Walz didn't win. And your argument for why he did win is totally idiotic. He won because he said things that I agree with. Yes, we already know that you're a far left loon, just looking to hear all the progressive talking points on repeat. But unfortunately for you, Rachel Maddow, regardless of how many times you repeat it, you try to speak it into existence, it does not change the reality. And the reality is quite clear, folks. I'd say at this point, it's pretty much locked in. J.D. Vance won the debate. He simply won. Now, do I think that a vice presidential debate is going to move the needle big time? No, probably not. But in my view, Trump and Vance are already in the driver's seat, and so a good, strong performance is good enough, especially as your opponent is essentially tanking Kamala Harris into the ground. Let's have a conversation about this debate. I'm more interested in who actually won and what the people think, rather than Rachel Maddow's propaganda opinion. Let's have a conversation about that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So in these moments, what do? We always do the same thing. Let's go straight to the Frank Luntz focus groups. Of course, we know what Frank Luntz does. He gets together in a Zoom meeting with a bunch of undecided voters, only from swing states, and then releases the results following the debate. And here's the conclusion.
He's very battle-tested, very ready, and you can just see that he went to Yale, and he's very intelligent, and he reassured a lot of people, I think.
Somebody else.
It was in strong control of the facts. He ran the show.
He remained steady during the whole performance, and I was very impressed with him being very sincere and authentic.
He humanized himself and actually looked like a regular guy.
Joining us now, pollster and communications strategist Frank Luntz. Those were people that you had polled or were talking to. And I found the last comment really interesting because he humanized himself, indicating how badly he has looked in front of some people with some of the comments he's made. What did you make of how Vance did? And then we will get to Walz.
Well, I actually want to start, and I apologize to your listeners for this voice, but this is what happens when you do a focus group that doesn't end until an hour after the debate. Our participants had a lot to say. Number one, they loved both candidates. In fact, if they could, they would have reversed the tickets and put Vance and Walz on top and the other two on the bottom. Number two is it gave them faith in democracy, the idea that people could sit down, disagree, and do so civilly. But in terms of Vance, they were shocked that the Vance that they've seen up to this point was not the J.D. Vance of last night. Measured, thoughtful, emotional, willing to agree with his opponent, not divisive. The language that they used to describe him tells me that he has been misused on the campaign so far, that he would be far better communicating Donald Trump's agenda and vision and purpose than the attack dog kind of strategy that they've been using up to now. I have to tell you, only twice in my career have I had such an overwhelming movement towards one candidate. That's how significant yesterday was. Not that they were critical about Governor Walz, but they were so shocked at how emotive Senator Vance was.
By overwhelming majority consensus, 12-2, the Frank Luntz focus group says that J.D. Vance won the debate fair and square. And so there you have it. Regardless of what Rachel Maddow says, this seems to be the reality. It seems to be the overwhelming majority consensus. J.D. Vance won. And honestly, I'm really not surprised. I'm not sitting here overly excited for J.D. Vance's performance because I think the quality of his performance was expected. He didn't do anything spectacular. He just was articulate, well-spoken, freakin, focused on the issues, didn't let, those clown moderators distract him or throw him off course. And Tim Walz, well, Tim Walz was frankly just weird. I'm really loving this whole weird thing. Weird. How ironic is it that after months of pointing the finger at JD Vance and calling him weird, this happens? Who's really the weird one? I'd say it's Tim Walz. You know those facial expressions?
Weird, buddy. You're weird.
Pretty frickin' weird. Saying that you're friends with school shooters? Pretty frickin' weird.
So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to...
Then, of course, we've got his general mannerisms.
Governor Tim Walz.
The guy unironically acts like Chris Farley's characters from SNL. Everyone on X keeps posting this video with the caption, Tim Walz entering the debate stage. And of course, it's funny because it's true. Tim Walz was kind of a disaster. I mean, he wasn't an explosive train wreck. He didn't totally collapse live on air, but it was definitely this sort of slow motion, collapse or melting. He just wasn't convincing. He didn't do a great job painting a new vision for the nation or defending Kamala Harris. He just kind of sucked, to be honest. And that seems to be the conclusion, not just by voters and focus groups, but even by the left-wing mainstream media at large.
There is no doubt in my mind, however Governor Walz did in terms of sincerity, that Vance won this debate.
Does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth? No.
They were talking at one point, Vance wanted to correct something about how Haitians got into this country. And he was right, and the moderators wouldn't let him correct it. It's very interesting.
But at the beginning, the two issues driving the campaign right now are Harris has a big deficit on the economy, Harris has a big deficit on immigration, and Republicans were happy tonight and Democrats a little bit nervous that on those two issues, Vance carried it.
J.D. Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. Mm-hmm. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
JD Vance won, and they know it. And I think it was a huge step backwards for the Kamala Harris campaign. And now we're in full meltdown, full copium mode. That's exactly what is going on. And you know how I know that? I know that because now all of a sudden, go on X, pay attention to what's going on in the media, or more of the liberal hive mind as a whole. They're all just pointing to January 6th. This is proof that we're winning.
He will be remembered for that final exchange about, did Trump lose the election? And he doesn't answer. His technique is to not answer. It makes him, by the way, the very first vice presidential candidate in history who doesn't know who won the last.
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. One of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if J.D. Vance would certify the election should Trump lose. And, J.D. Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer, and I'm disappointed in that fact. And I don't think that I can trust someone, with my vote if they're not going to respect it.
I'm seeing those two clips pop up on my timeline from leftist accounts over and over again. They have nothing else. They have one clip of one guy during a focus group talking about denying the 2020 election results, and that Lawrence O'Donnell clip where essentially they're saying the exact same thing. Oh, JD Vance refused to answer a trap question relating to January 6th. Oh no. If the Democrats are going back to J6, it's over. They have nothing else. I mean, talk about beating a dead horse. And what's the idea here? That it should be illegal to question election results? What do I have to do? Play a 25-minute montage of Democrats denying election results? Do I really have to do that again? I don't think so. It's called freedom of speech and thought. These people have nothing, and it's obvious that they've lost. Oh, actually, it's not just the January 6th thing. It's that and the whole fact-checking thing. They keep posting this meme of JD Vance getting fact-checked and then responding, I thought we weren't going to fact-check. They're posting this meme over and over again without context. But again, what's the implication here? I don't get it. CBS News said they wouldn't fact-check, then they did. And so he questioned, why are you fact-checking? then, of course, what makes it even worse is their fact check was wrong. JD Vance was right.
Governor, and just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well,
Nora?
Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the
debate,
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
I mean, honestly, that might have been the moment where he won the debate. Even going to Frank Luntz's focus group, apparently the one thing they were the most bothered with wasn't JD Vance or Tim Walz, it was the moderators. I mean, are they really trying to spin his interaction with those fake news moderators as negative for the Trump campaign? That's insane. Nicole Wallace accused JD Vance of mansplaining.
Like muting powers. And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment JD Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with then vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate where she's.
It's just so ridiculous, but what it is desperation. They're desperately grasping for anything because they lost. Point blank, very simple. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, for Pete's sakes, even CNN's Snap poll had JD Vance winning. If a CNN viewer Snap poll is even close, well then you know it wasn't even close. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.